Hey y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you don't already know who I am, I am Gigi. Thank you so much for coming. You can find me at It's Gigi Robinson on all social media platforms. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss a beat here. Today, I wanted to talk about something that is kind of vulnerable and I talk a lot about on my Instagram and my TikTok account, but I've yet to here on YouTube. So here it goes. We are talking about my journey with chronic illness, managing it throughout the years at school, what I have, and how it affects my day-to-day life. So basically, I was diagnosed with Ehlers Danlos Syndrome when I was about 11 years old in 6th grade because I kept getting injuries, and I specifically had the hypermobile Ehlers Danlos Syndrome type, essentially meaning that my joints and my connective tissues are very flexible. So because of the lack of collagen that my body actually has, my muscles are looser, meaning that it's easier for me to break bones and for me to get injured. So between, the ages of 10 and 14, I was getting injured all the time. I got a stress fracture, I fractured my ankle, I tore ligaments in my wrist, and then I re-injured my ankle, I injured my shoulder. I don't know, it's been like a total show back then in the day. And as a kid, I obviously didn't really know how to cope with it because I didn't think that other people were dealing with pain. The worst part about this chronic illness is how much pain it gives me. Literally, my neck, my back, my shoulders, anything can really cause me to have pain sitting down in one place too long. I mean, I know that bothers everyone, but for me especially, keeping a good posture and then even further, like getting up and having a cramp or a muscle pinch somewhere is like very frequent. And for me, when I got injured back when I was in 7th grade with my wrist, I essentially jumped off a floaty in a lake, like those giant pool trampoline thingies that you like jump off of, and they're so much fun. So I was like at camp having fun, I jump off, I land like smack like that, and I remember how painful it was. I was like, oh my god. So I landed like this and was like, holy that was the worst thing that has ever happened to me. It felt so painful. I vividly remember that to this day. And unfortunately, I was a bad patient and I did go to the emergency room and I got a cast on because they were like, we don't know what's going on until you got back to the city. We're just gonna hope that you do that. And I was literally a little bit cuckoo. I was like, I don't want to be the cripple at camp. So I literally pulled my arm out of the cast, and that probably injured me even more. But I think it was necessary for me to actually get the treatment and like acknowledgement from the doctors, like, hey, there's something wrong with your joints because I shouldn't have gotten an injury from jumping off a pool float into the lake. So basically, that was the beginning of one of my diagnoses, and I started using an iPad in school, and at the time it was just where iPads were coming out, and I didn't want to have a laptop as a 6th or 7th grader, like that was a little extra, but using an iPad was somewhat normal. I could write in it as a notebook and it was fine, and a lot of kids were like, oh, you're so lucky you get to use an iPad, but for me, I felt like an outsider. And that honestly continued for me through college, which I really have a lot to say about how this has affected my college experience that, I could really talk about it for hours and tell you about the amazing people that I've met within the chronic illness industry and communities online, because if you are somebody in that community, thank you for being there and being vulnerable and creating content to raise awareness and make sure that people are understanding and listening to you and advocating for yourself when no one else will. Because if you are a younger person watching this and nobody believes you, I believe in you. I know that you have something amazing to share and you need to advocate for yourself. So make sure that you continue to do that. Let's see. So basically, after, years of knowing that I've had EDS, which honestly was a blessing to be diagnosed at such a young age, because so many people go years without even knowing that they have EDS because they get misdiagnosed so often or called a hypochondriac, and that is just, again, back to having somebody believe in you. Because of my, consecutive injuries, they put 2 and 2 together and said something's wrong with your connective tissue that keeps making it easier for you to get injured. Went to the geneticist, got, confirmed, and that was that. Flash forward to the fall of 2019. That is my senior year of college. That was last fall. And I personally had a great summer. I was on my feet, I was working a lot, I did have a lot of anxiety, and honestly was not eating as much as I probably should have. So looking back on pictures, I'm like, oh my gosh, she needed help. But we are thriving now, we are past that phase, and we are good. So I decided to do a couple of student jobs. I was a brand ambassador for TikTok, a brand ambassador for a skincare brand that is cruelty-free and vegan called Higher Education Skincare, and a Tinder U ambassador. I also was a photography intern for USC's hospitality department, which was so fun because I got to see, you know, my pictures up in advertisements all around campus. But I would say that I learned in that semester what burnout really was, because living with a chronic illness, that all of that on top of a full course load of 20 units, I really exacerbated my symptoms to the point where I was in the hospital all the time at doctor's appointments trying to figure out what was going on. So one of the scariest things that actually happened to me, I was with a friend and all of a sudden, like, everything went black. Like, I had a migraine, I got some ice. Something I do is I always like put ice on my neck, and I take a Excedrin right away. I literally keep a bottle in my purse just in case a migraine comes on, because chronic migraines suck. Yeah, they suck a lot. And when I get a migraine, there's literally nothing you can do. You have to wait till they pass. They make you nauseous, you can't see, whatever. And after this migraine, literally my entire left side of my body went numb, and I was like, holy and basically I went to the doctor right away, and they were like, oh, it looks like you could have, you know, this, you can have that. So I ended up making appointments at the cardiologist, the rheumatologist, the gastroenterologist, a therapist, a psychiatrist, like literally all of these different doctors to try to figure out what the frick happened to me. And ultimately they decided that nothing really happened, and it was just like a random freak accident because of, you know, EDS things. And I was like, that's cool. So on top of that scare, you know, it was my senior year, my senior thesis. I stopped going to parties, I stopped hanging out with my friends because I really had to focus on my health. And that is something that I really hope that people who are not dealing with a chronic illness can understand. When you have somebody with a chronic illness that is debilitating and very severe and symptomatic and can fluctuate through different kinds of symptoms, is to be understanding that they cannot always be there for you and they have to put their health first. That was the biggest lesson that I learned in 2019 going into 2020, is knowing when to start listening to myself, stop putting energy into other people, and taking care of myself and listening to my body. So that was really important, really difficult, but I promise you, once you figure that out for yourself, you just, exactly what I just felt. Big sigh of relief. It feels so good to actually say that and get it off my chest. I would also like to say that I had a lot of difficulty during that year, and part of my healing process, which God bless this professor because he was so cool, two professors. One said, I suggest that you use your art to heal. And I was like, that's a great idea. The other one literally just believed the crap out of me, and he said, you know, I think you should make art that really works for you. And part of the reason why I got assigned to this professor was because I had professors that, I don't know if they didn't believe me, they didn't like my idea, they didn't want me confronting ableist perspectives. I don't know, I'm not inside their heads, but they didn't like my idea of creating a photo essay, a photo book about my life with a chronic illness. So I petitioned to get a new professor, and I did. So end of story, that was that. And the journey that it's been, it has been so incredible. It was so hard because I was going to the hospital all these times. I said, you know what, fine, like, let me just bring my camera. Let me document my experience. And I ultimately turned it into a 85-page photo book, which I will link down below in case you guys want to view it. I would absolutely love your feedback on it, and I hope that it can help somebody. Again, my sole purpose is to help educate and break stigmas about chronic illness, and I really hope that this is just the start of my videos. You know, I think there needs to be more representation in media about chronic illness and about how dynamic chronic illness can be, and how you could be fine and look good one minute and then the next be absolutely on your ass in pain and crying and trying to figure out how to manage your symptoms. So that is my long story short on my chronic illness and my experience in college, but I'm happy to go more in depth about it and just, you know, maybe even one day explain my photo book on a live stream. I would love to do that. So I think expect that in the near future. Yeah, I also last winter got diagnosed with POTS and mast cell, so those are very commonly associated with dysautonomia, which is the umbrella that Ehlers Danlos Syndrome is included in. So those have been really fun to manage as well. It sucks, but there's nothing you can do. So again, thank you so much for watching this video, listening to me ramble, and hopefully I can connect with some other spoonies out there on the internet. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and check me out at It's Gigi Robinson on any other social media platform. Your love and support means everything to me, so thank you so much for watching. Bye guys.